The raw, unforgiving truth of the wild stared down from a parched branch, hanging like a grotesque rope against the vast savanna sky. Coiled tightly around a tiny, writhing form was a colossal rock python, its immense muscles rippling with each chillingly terrifying squeeze. The small creature, a lion cub, struggled desperately in the serpent's death grip, its life fading with every tightening coil. Brutality hung suspended, a heart-wrenching sight that pierced the clear blue expanse above. Below the tree, the lioness roared. Her cry was no longer the proud, authoritative threat of the savanna's queen, but a gut-wrenching sound of utter helplessness. Her fierce golden eyes, usually blazing with dominance, now gleamed with despair, fixed in an agonizing gaze upon her slowly fading cub. Her entire world seemed to crumble in that fateful moment. The fighting instinct of a top predator became meaningless against the relentless, suffocating embrace high above. She roared again, pacing frantically, her powerful body tense with unfulfilled desire to leap and tear, but she couldn't reach, couldn't touch her precious young life. What would one do if their deepest fear hung suspended before their eyes, unreachable, untouchable? This was not just another tale of predator and prey, it was a window into a choice that defied every instinct, every natural law, a choice that would change everything. Sometimes, the greatest heroes are not the ones expected, and their first act is simply to see. Amidst that chaotic and desperate moment, a silent, colossal male gorilla sat not far away beneath the same tree. Its deep black eyes calmly observed the unfolding scene, its presence initially seeming just another part of the wild tableau, an uninvolved bystander. The lioness, in her ultimate distress, suddenly turned sharply towards the gorilla. Her fiery golden eyes, usually brimming with authority, now held no trace of pride. Instead, they were filled with plea, with utter helplessness. She let out an unusual roar, not a warning, not a challenge, but a desperate entreaty, a sob from the deepest instinct of motherhood. In the wild, lions and gorillas share no natural connection. They inhabit different environments, driven by different instincts and behaviors. For a lord of the savanna to humble herself and plead with a primate was unprecedented, an inversion of all known rules. But when her cub's life was threatened, all barriers dissolved. Pride gave way to sacred maternal love. The gorilla looked up, its deep, profound eyes, typically showing only calmness and intelligence, now met that desperate gaze, the gaze of an unspoken plea. In the lioness's eyes, there was something that transcended predatory instinct, transcended species differences. It was an urgent call for help, the most primal form of communication among living beings, save this cub that is being suffocated. An unspoken understanding seemed to settle between these two seemingly disparate creatures. In that moment, the silence of the savanna became heavy, pregnant with anticipation. The gorilla remained motionless for a long beat, but its eyes revealed a subtle change, a shift from passive observation to something deeper. What was going through the mind of this powerful creature? Did it sense the plea? Did it truly understand the lioness's agony? What does it take for a predator to humble itself, and for a bystander to choose intervention? In that suspended moment, a silent agreement was forged, echoing a truth far older than any jungle law. Then, the giant rose, not for battle, but for rescue, and the world held its breath. The wind on the savanna seemed to hush, leaving only the heavy panting of the lioness and the faint, diminishing sounds of life from above. The gorilla remained still for another moment, its massive shoulders beginning to tense, its immense power gathering. Suddenly, it stood fully, its movements slow, deliberate, yet undeniably powerful. It clenched its enormous hands, fingers tightening into stone-like fists. Then it stepped towards the tree. Without hesitation, without a backward glance, the gorilla began to climb. Each movement was swift and decisive, its powerful fingers gripping the rough bark firmly. This was not its natural habitat. Large gorillas typically move on the ground or in lower tree canopies. But now it was ascending, heading towards mortal danger with an extraordinary resolve. The python, sensing the new threat, tightened its coils even further, its cold, emotionless eyes fixed on the approaching gorilla. Clearly, it recognized a formidable opponent. But the gorilla did not falter. It continued its ascent, navigating through branches and entangled foliage with surprising agility. When the distance was close enough, the python twisted, preparing to strike. But the gorilla acted first. It let out a resounding roar. Not a roar of aggression, but a powerful warning, an unyielding declaration of will. It lunged, its enormous, powerful hands like pincers, seizing the snake's body. With immense, unyielding strength, it began to pry apart the coils that were wrapped around the cub like steel cables. The scene unfolded quickly but dramatically, a primal struggle against the backdrop of the vast sky. The lioness on the ground roared encouragement, her eyes never leaving the desperate struggle above. The python writhed in furious resistance, trying to hold its prey and fight off the stranger. But the gorilla did not hesitate. It yanked hard, using its full weight and power to loosen the deadly embrace. The next few moments would rewrite the rules of the wild and, perhaps, the rules of human understanding. With a roar that wasn't of aggression but of defiance against fate, the grip of kindness proved stronger than any coil. The struggle above was fierce. The python tried to coil tighter, grip harder, but the gorilla's hands were incredibly tenacious and strong. It was not a predator of snakes, it had no experience fighting a constrictor of this size. But there seemed to be an invisible force empowering it, an iron will driven by pure compassion. It pulled, yanked, and twisted, trying to find a weak point, a vulnerability in the deadly constrictor's hold. The gorilla's persistence finally paid off. A stronger, more decisive yank caused the python to loosen its grip. Its coils unwound slightly. Immediately, the cub, though weak and exhausted, slipped free from the embrace. It fell from the branch. The lioness did not hesitate. With a lightning-fast leap, she caught her cub in her trembling arms just before it hit the ground. A collective sigh of relief seemed to echo across the savanna, though only the heavy breath of the wind was heard. The cub huddled in its mother's embrace, weak but safe. The lioness licked her cub's disheveled fur, her eyes never leaving the gorilla above. Her roar of gratitude resonated deeply, no longer a helpless or threatening sound, but a profound expression of respect and appreciation. Her gaze towards the gorilla held no distance between two different species, no weary stance of predator and prey. Only pure respect and profound gratitude remained. In that moment, the division between species seemed to vanish. A lion, the undisputed king of the savanna, was saved by a gorilla, an animal usually hidden deep in the forest. It was a powerful testament to the strength of connection, transcending all boundaries of nature and instinct. The gorilla had used its extraordinary power not to conquer, not to hunt, but to protect life. What hidden reserves of strength do we all possess when driven by compassion? As the dust settled on that extraordinary encounter, a new kind of silence filled the savanna, a profound, unspoken understanding. Some moments aren't just seen, they are felt. They linger, whispering truths we often forget. The gorilla did not stay. As soon as the cub was safe, it descended from the tree, turning away silently. It sought no glory, no recognition. Its act was a pure expression of kindness, a choice that transcended all survival instincts. It left behind a rare moment on the savanna where compassion overcame survival, where connection surpassed all differences. The story of the lioness, her cub, the fierce python, and the gorilla hero is more than just a wild tale. It is a powerful reminder of the potential for empathy and connection within each of us. In a world that sometimes seems divided by differences and struggles for survival, this story shows us that unexpected acts of kindness can change everything. It teaches us that greatness lies not only in physical strength but also in the strength of the heart. It reminds us that even seemingly impossible relationships can blossom in the most unexpected circumstances. What motivated the gorilla to act? No one knows for sure, but it was certainly something deeper than instinct. It was empathy, a moment of extraordinary care from one living being to another. This incredible scene on the savanna reminds us that sometimes the greatest strength isn't just about survival, but about the courage to connect, to care, and to act.